Hello again, everyone. This is Chris here, and that's Robert Harding, the blog-winning, or I should say award-winning political bloggist, New York State Publishers Association this past week. We've got to give Robert props, kudos.
Thank you, Chris. Appreciate
it. Those awards, they're nice, man. You feel good to win an award, don't you?
They're piling up,
Yeah, they're piling up.
That's nice. It's a good feeling. It's good to be recognized.
There is a stack of awards on Robert's desk. It's like, it's over my head now. That's how high it is. It's that high.
Oh, come on.
All right. Okay. Well, I'm being serious. I'm congratulating. He did a nice job and won some wonderful awards for his political blog, The Eye on New York. So, anyways, we're here to talk about sports. This is Citizen Sports Weekly. We're recording this fine video on April 11th. 11th. There we go.
Friday
the 11th. 2014.
That's why we don't know the date.
Yes, I know. Well, in our business, we're always working. It's like we're always doing stuff for tomorrow.
Right.
I'm getting tomorrow's sports section together. He's doing his blog for Sunday. So in our business, we're always thinking literally a day or 2 days ahead. And unfortunately, when it comes to thinking about today, you kind of get mixed up a little bit. So, but anyways, we're just going to talk about some sports topics real quick, some things that we like in the news and everything that we think you might be interested in. And the one thing that really came out of left field is this story about the Buffalo Bills considering moving to Niagara Falls. Mm-hmm. And, there is a task force.
Well, the stadium moving.
Right, the stadium, yeah. Not the, well, the team would, yes. So they want to build a new stadium for the Bills in Niagara Falls and move the team there, partly because they said that it would appeal more to the team's Canadian fan base, which is growing. I guess they said 18% of the season ticket holders are from Canada, and obviously you would figure most of those are from Southern Ontario and the Toronto area. And they figure if they put the team in Niagara Falls, it's closer, and that would probably spur Canadian ticket sales. So, here's the thing. This is what kind of, I won't say irks me about this. Nothing wrong with Niagara Falls. Fine community. I love the Falls. Always fun place to go see. Okay. But you know something? What are the Bills doing right now with their stadium?
They're renovating.
They're renovating it. How much money are those renovations costing?
In the hundreds of millions.
Hundreds of millions of dollars. Okay. I saw a photo that they're building a team store behind the stadium. Okay. So you're putting $130 million into the stadium now. Since 1998, they probably put in more than $100 million. Okay. For the amount of money they're putting into the stadium, they shouldn't be moving. Really. If you really want to make things better for the fans or for for the stadium experience, renovate the areas outside the stadium. Make it easier to get in and out of the parking lot. Spur economic development there. Now, I've been to Orchard Park in a few years, okay? And Robert can probably speak better than I can. But there's not really a lot around there, is there?
No, not really. And, and we had this conversation this week, a short conversation anyway, and I heard the Niagara Falls news and, not thrilled with it. I think that, certainly I can see the point of going to Niagara Falls because not only would that, attract, as you mentioned, the Canadian fan base, but, looking at Niagara Falls and, just the condition that the city's in, certainly having the falls there is a, majestic sight and a great tourist attraction. But at the same time, what infrastructure does the city have to maintain a stadium like this, and it's lacking right now.
Right.
There's been a couple of other options I've mentioned, or I've heard rather. One would be moving it to the east into Genesee County, near Batavia, like right off the thruway, which you get into the same thing as where you have Orchard Park, so close to the thruway. This would be, the same idea, putting it in Batavia or, near Batavia anyway, and building a stadium there. Coming from the area, I know that they have the land there to do it. It's just about, again, the infrastructure and everything else. Do they have it there? I don't know. It would take a lot of money, not only from, the team side, whoever the owner becomes and making that investment, but also, the local and state communities coming together and saying, okay, what road improvements do we need, water, sewer, all of this stuff to support a stadium. So it's an interesting discussion. Look, I think, looking at the long-term vision for the Bills, yes, the renovations are great. It's going to, Obviously, it's going to keep the team there for hopefully the next decade. But at the same time, that stadium is old. It is in need of a replacement. And if the Bills, want to compete in today's NFL, where so many teams, when they build a new stadium, especially in these cold weather cities, they're competing for Super Bowls.
Yeah.
You think of Detroit, Minnesota will
Yeah.
probably be in the game again. Even, look at New York and New Jersey
Right.
with the MetLife Stadium. That was an outdoor venue, and they still got the Super Bowl mainly because of the metropolitan area. But, that's the thing. These are the things that the Bills have to take into consideration. That this next owner is
Right. Then that's the key thing.
right.
Who's going to be the next owner?
Right, and there's a lot of names being floated.
Bon Jovi.
Yeah, Bon Jovi's been mentioned. Although, if it's Bon Jovi, you can forget about Western New York because he would join a group of Toronto area business people and move the team there, which I absolutely
Right.
hate. And not just the Bills. I think any NFL team, if they were to move there, they would not succeed because we've seen what's happened with the games there, and they're just not successful. The fans there, they root for various teams. There's Dolphins jerseys and a Bills, at a Bills Seahawks game.
Well, I disagree with you a little bit. I think if there was an actual Toronto team, that actually was based out of the city, that was in the city all year, that trained near the city, everything like that, I think that the fan support would be better. I think it would be. I just think Toronto's too big a market that there's so many people there, you couldn't help but sell that place out, even with high ticket prices, because it would be their own team. It's one thing when it's somebody else's team, and it's only one game. But I know where you're coming from, though, and I agree with you. The Bills games there have been a failure. They shouldn't be played there anymore. All the games should be played in Buffalo. I agree with you there. But it's one thing if it's somebody else's team coming. It's another thing if like same thing in London. Look, in London, it's the same situation. You have two teams that don't usually, they're not from there, obviously. And, yeah, you get team guys or fans wearing jerseys from different teams. And there's no loyalty there because the team only plays there once every few years, and it's just not the same. So, but, I agree with you about, hopefully that the Bills will get new local ownership. It will stay in Buffalo, but again, I think it might be a Soldier Field situation for the Bills because the Bears just completely gutted Soldier Field. They were on the road for a year. They played at University of Illinois in Champaign. Maybe the Bills play a year in the Carrier Dome, or maybe they play maybe they do play in Toronto for a full season.
Yeah.
Maybe that might be the option. But as a New York State taxpayer, the idea that we're already putting all this money, we've already put money into the stadium to renovate it. We're putting more money into the stadium to renovate it, and now you're saying that we're going to have to spend even more money to build a new stadium. I'm sorry, that just does not work. Especially in these economic times. I don't begrudge the Bills a new facility, absolutely. They should play in the best facility that they can play in that helps them maximize revenues. They're not going to get a lot of luxury boxes because there are not a lot of corporations in Buffalo, so you don't need a lot of luxury boxes. Fan amenities are another thing. So I want the Bills to stay in Buffalo. I know you might find that hard to believe, me being a Dolphins fan, but I like the rivalry. It's fun.
Well, you want to see.
And I feel for the Buffalo fan. We discussed it. Buffalo fans and Miami fans have a lot in common. Our teams have basically sucked for the last 15 years, and we wish for the glory days of the '70s. Well, not many glory days for you guys in the '70s, but we wish for the glory days of the past. And like I said, I want to see the Bills play in a good facility, but I think they have a facility, and they've already putting money into it, so you might as well either put a roof on it or do the other infrastructure where you gut it and then you just build again on the inside and do it that way, and that way you save some money, keep the Bills in Buffalo, and like I said, for a year maybe they alternate between Syracuse and Toronto.
Yeah.
Which would be good to develop those fan bases. So
yeah, to the point about gutting it, I wouldn't be opposed to that. If you can rebuild essentially a stadium within the infrastructure
Right.
you have, I wouldn't be opposed to that. If you decided instead of going on this site selection spree of Niagara Falls or even Genesee County or somewhere else in Erie County, City of Buffalo has been mentioned.
Right, and the waterfront there.
Yeah. And so, but even if you said, let's tear down the current one, 10, 15, 20 years from now, build a new one, and go from there, hey, that's fine, but you have to have the plan in place. Where are you going to play those
Right.
8 home games
Right.
during the year? You could split it up. Certainly, the Carrier Dome for Bills fans in Central New York and even east of Syracuse, certainly would be appealing. But it's in the early stages of this. Obviously,
we got a ways to go. New owner's the whole thing.
New owner's the wild card.
Yeah, we can talk till we're blue in the face, but really, it's the new owner who's going to make the final decision about where this team is playing. So,
because I told you, the new owner could come in and say,
"L.A., here we come."
Well, yeah. I mean, you never know.
Yeah,
I
hope it doesn't happen.
Yeah, the NFL certainly, if Roger Goodell, I think, has his way, has his say, he wants the team to stay there. If they have an owner that comes in, decides to keep the team in Buffalo, they could come out and say, look, we're going to build our own stadium. And which I think would help with that whole local and state taxpayer kind of, because really that's a taxpayer-owned facility.
Yeah.
And, it's a little different than, building a stadium and having that one time, dipping in the taxpayer, kitty, if you will, and paying for the stadium.
Now, if a new owner comes in and says, I want to spend my own money and build a stadium, and guess what? You can build wherever you want in Erie County, Niagara County, Orleans County,
you could build it in Auburn if you want.
Onondaga County or whatever, but that's the thing. I mean, how many owners are going to do that nowadays?
Yeah.
Well, Joe Robbie did.
Well, that's true.
See, that's the Dolphins founder, by the way. So I guess we'll I mean, we've been talking football now for probably 10 minutes in the middle of April, which is hilarious.
It's fun.
But that's the NFL.
That's the NFL.
So we're going to talk a little college basketball. We're going to kind of wrap things up. UConn not just won the men's title, but the women's title too on Monday and Tuesday nights respectively. And I said something to Robert on Monday, and I know he disagrees with me a little bit there, but I told him
50-50.
I told him that the game, I said it was going to be a close game. I said it was going to be in the 70s, so I was wrong there. But I said this game's going to come down to free throws. I said UConn had been shooting lights out in this tournament. And I said Kentucky's going to struggle from the line, and UConn is going to shoot well from the line, and UConn is going to win because of free throws. And they basically did. And then you said that, well, yeah, Kentucky's not going to win when they shoot 39% from the field. And then I said, well, Kentucky only shot 39% from the field. And then I said, well, look, UConn only shot 41% from the field. And UConn was 10 of 23. UConn was 10 of 11. Now, here's this amazing thing. I looked at the stats for the tournament. UConn was 101 of 118 from the free throw line. That's amazing. I'm sorry, that's unbelievable.
It's basics.
Well, but they don't look. Unfortunately, as you might know, fundamentals are a lost art in sports.
Oh,
Not just free throw shooting. I mean, look. I know it sounds very simple. It's an open shot. You should make it 80-90% of the time. But most teams would be thrilled if they're shooting 70%.
Yeah.
And again, that's what I thought was great about this UConn team is that they were lights out from the line, 101 for 118.
Yeah,
that's just amazing. And really, they won the title because of that.
Yeah.
That really was the key.
Well, the free throw shooting was good throughout the tournament. I remember watching games, that they played tight contests throughout the tournament, and really it came down to that. But they, what also set them apart was the guard play.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. You're right.
Shabazz Napier, the MVP of the tournament. I mean, this kid, I watched. UConn was one of the few teams that I watched all of their games. It just, it just played out well, especially with the early rounds and stuff. That it worked out that way, and watching him play was a treat. I mean, just a fantastic player.
Absolutely fun team to watch.
And the great thing is, Napier has stayed in school, went through the whole. Ordeal with UConn last year. They couldn't play in the postseason because of this punishment from the NCAA and all this other stuff. But here's a kid, he stayed in school and he excelled. Wins a national championship. Second time he's been on the winning side of one. And that to me really spoke volumes. Charles Barkley said something earlier in this tournament that Michael Jordan went to college for 3 years before he went to the NBA.
Right.
It can be done, and it actually works. And I think Napier's a guy. You don't hear a lot about him. There's a lot of attention paid to the undergrads out there that are declaring, whether it's Tyler Ennis from Syracuse or other freshmen and sophomores. But he's a guy I think that has the skills to excel at the next level. He's tough. He can score from everywhere. Great outside shooter. Good inside. Great defensive skills. That's an NBA player, and he he doesn't get a lot of respect probably from, draft gurus because, he's a little undersized, but I'd take him on my team. He reminds me a lot of Allen Iverson, to be honest.
Oh, I agree with you. Yeah, it's true. The women's game, I was hoping for a better game. I mean, both teams, Notre Dame, UConn were both
Perfect
undefeated.
versus perfect.
And UConn just blew the doors off Notre Dame. And it's just, I really wanted a nice close game going on at the end. But Gino Auriemma, I mean, this guy inspires, either you love him or you hate him. There's really no in between. I'm not crazy about the guy. I think he's an arrogant son of a gun, but he wins titles. He's won 9 NCAA national championships, and you can't deny him that. And he gets the best players. He got Breanna Stewart out of Syracuse, sister of Syracuse High School, and the dynasty just rolls along. And you got to tip your cap to the UConn women. They're just, I mean, as much as a sure thing as there is in sports right now.
Yeah, the Notre Dame coach
Muffet McGraw. Love that name.
She had a great post-game quote that it was like playing the Miami Heat without LeBron.
Yeah.
That this UConn just plays so well together. Breanna Stewart, she won the AP Player of the Year award. Best player on that team, but they have so many good players on that team that I mean, any combination of 5 can really dominate, and they showed that against Notre Dame.
Yeah, it was a good basketball season. I know Syracuse fans were disappointed the way it ended, but I like to see UConn win. They're an old Big East school. They shot lights out from the free throw line. If you're a fundamental fan, you enjoy that. So I guess we'll wrap it up for this week, Rob.
Sure. Yeah.
All right, folks. Thanks again for watching. Please share the links and spread the. I don't say spread the love.
Spread the wealth.
Spread not even wealth. But anyways, we enjoy making these videos,
video.
and we enjoy making the videos. We hope you guys enjoy watching them, and don't be afraid to make a comment or something, or send us an email, or follow us on Twitter. See Shara and Robert Harding, and we'll see you next week. Take care.